Succession.
Succession.
She won the championship 4 times in succession.
He fired 2 shots in quick succession.
A succession of visitors came to the door.
If the prince dies, the succession passes to his son.
The Queen's succession to the throne.
Successive.
Successive.
The team has had 5 successive victories. Successive governments have tried to deal with this issue.
Successor.
Successor.
His successor died only after 15 months in office.
I'm sure she will be a worthy successor.
Her successor to the post.
Sloan will be Barrett's successor as treasurer.
The transistor's successor, the microchip.
Succinct.
Succinct.
A succinct explanation.
Anderson put the same point more succinctly.
Succotash.
Succotash.
Succor.
Succor.
They give succor to the victims of war. Succouring the needy.
Succubus.
Succubus.
Succulent.
Succulent.
A succulent steak.
Succumb.
Succumb.
Succumbing to pressure from the chemical industry, Governor Blakely amended the regulations.
Gina succumbed to temptation and had a second serving of cake.
About 400,000 Americans succumb each year to smoking-related illnesses.
Such.
Such.
Such behavior is just not acceptable in this school.
The rules make it quite clear what should be done in such a situation.
A victory for Brazil had been predicted, and such indeed was the result.
She needs to see a psychiatrist or some such person.
You said you'd be finished by today. I said no such thing.
There is now a greater awareness of problems such as these.
Birth is a natural process and should be treated as such.
Cartoon characters such as Mickey Mouse and Snoopy are still popular.
Large electrical goods such as television sets and washing machines.
There are lots of useful things you could do, such as... They're such nice people.
It's such a long way from here.
I felt such an idiot.
It's such a tiny kitchen that I don't have to do much to keep it clean.
He came to such a sudden stop that we almost hit him.
The force of the explosion was such that windows were blown out.
His manner was such as to offend nearly everyone he met.
He lectured in such a way that many in the audience found him impossible to understand.
Her condition deteriorated to such an extent that a blood transfusion was considered necessary.
We will look at the evidence, such as it is, for each of these theories.
Such food as they gave us was scarcely fit to eat.
Such individuals who take up this role often find life frustrating.
Such of you as wish to leave may do so now.
There's no such thing as magic. There isn't a garden as such, just a little vegetable patch. We have nothing against men as such.
It won't be anything special, just a few cakes and sandwiches and such.
Such and such.
Such and such.
They will ask you to come on such and such a day at such and such a time. Such like.
Such like.
Money for food, clothes, and such like.
Suck.
Suck.
Michael put the cigarette to his lips and sucked in the smoke.
A baby sucking at its mother's breast.
Jenny sucked up the last bit of milkshake with her straw.
Don't suck your thumb, dear.
A picture of Lara sucking on a lollipop.
A bird was sucked into one of the jet's engines.
The river sucked him under. The fluid was sucked from his lungs.
The U.S. has no intention of getting sucked into another war in Europe.
He's always sucking up to the boss.
Sucker.
Sucker.
You fell for that old line? Sucker.
I'm a total sucker for seafood.
Sucker punch.
Sucker punch.
Suckle.
Suckle.
A sheep suckling her lamb.
Suckling.
Suckling.
Sucrose.
Sucrose.
Suction.
Suction.
My vacuum cleaner has very good suction.
A suction pump.
Sudden.
Sudden.
A sudden change in the weather.
Life is cruel, she thought, with a sudden rush of anger. A sudden movement.
Her death was sudden.
All of a sudden the lights went out.
Sudden death.
Sudden death.
A sudden death playoff.
Sudden infant death syndrome.
Sudden infant death syndrome.
Suddenly.
Suddenly.
I suddenly realized that there was someone following me.
George died very suddenly.
Suddenly the eagle opened its wings.
Sudoku.
Sudoku.
Suds.
Suds.
Sue.
Sue.
If the builders don't fulfill their side of the contract, we'll sue.
The company is suing a former employee.
Miss James could not afford to sue for libel.
She was suing doctors for negligence over the loss of her child.
The railway may sue for damages because of loss of revenue.
He's being sued for divorce by his wife. They had hoped to force the North to sue for peace. Suede.
Suede.
Suede shoes.
A suede jacket.
Suet.
Suet.
Suffer.
Suffer.
At least he died suddenly and didn't suffer.
She's suffering a lot of pain.
Craig suffers from a rare bone disease. The writer suffered from ill health for most of his life.
London employers were suffering from a desperate shortage of school leavers.
Most of us have suffered the consequences of stupid decisions taken by others. In June 1667, England suffered a humiliating defeat by the Dutch.
They are unlikely to suffer any further loss of business.
He suffered head injuries in the crash.
A man who suffered serious brain damage during an operation is suing the hospital.
Small businesses have suffered financially during the recession.
Safety might suffer if costs are cut.
I'm worried, and my work is beginning to suffer.
He was a perfectionist who didn't suffer fools gladly.
Sufferance.
Sufferance.
He was never going to let her forget she was only here on sufferance.
Sufferer.
Sufferer.
Sufferers from headaches. A support group for cancer sufferers.
Suffering.
Suffering.
The suffering of the refugees after the war.
The pain and suffering caused by road accidents.
Suffice.
Suffice.
A light lunch will suffice.
A few brief observations will suffice for present purposes.
A few more statistics will suffice to show the trends of the time.
Suffice it to say that they're having marital problems.
Sufficiency.
Sufficiency.
The war has affected the country's economic sufficiency.
A sufficiency of raw materials.
Sufficient.
Sufficient.
We can only prosecute if there is sufficient evidence.
Unauthorized absence is sufficient reason for dismissal.
We need sufficient time to deal with the problem.
The money is not sufficient to cover everything that needs doing.
The recipe is sufficient for 6 people.
Students must reach a sufficiently high standard to pass.
Suffix.
Suffix. Suffocate.
Suffocate.
The animal seizes its prey by the throat and suffocates it to death.
One of the puppies suffocated inside the plastic bag.
Can you open a window? I'm suffocating.
Jealousy can suffocate any relationship.
Suffocated.
Suffocated.
He feels suffocated by London and longs to escape to the country.
Suffragan.
Suffragan. Suffrage.
Suffrage.
Suffragette.
Suffragette.
Suffuse.
Suffuse.
The light of the setting sun suffused the clouds.
Hot colour suffused her cheeks.
She was suffused with happiness.
Sugar.
Sugar.
Do you take sugar in your coffee? How many sugars do you want in your tea?
Did you sugar my coffee?
Sugared almonds.
Sugar beet.
Sugar beet.
Sugar cane.
Sugar cane.
Sugar cane.
Sugar coated.
Sugar coated.
Sugar-coated cereals.
Sugar cube.
Sugar cube.
Sugar daddy.
Sugar daddy.
Sugaring.
Sugaring. Sugar lump.
Sugar lump.
Sugary.
Sugary.
Sugary foods.
She said goodbye in a sickeningly sugary tone.
Suggest.
Suggest.
The zoo asked its visitors to suggest a name for the new baby panda. Her mother suggested that she should go and see the doctor. I suggest you call him first.
It has been suggested that the manager will resign if any more players are sold.
Johnson suggested to Boswell that they should buy the island. Tracy suggested meeting for a drink after work. Can you suggest what kind of tool I should use?
May I suggest that you think carefully before rushing into this?
Trends in spending and investment suggest a gradual economic recovery.
Opinion polls suggest that only 10% of the population trust the government.
The evidence suggests that single fathers are more likely to work than single mothers.
John Roberts has been suggested for the post of manager.
Are you suggesting my husband's been drinking?
The stage was bare, with only the lighting to suggest a prison.
I'll look at my cookbooks and see if anything suggests itself.
I'm not suggesting for one moment that these changes will be easy.
Suggestible.
Suggestible.
At that age, kids are highly suggestible.
Suggestion.
Suggestion.
Any suggestions would be welcome. The committee rejected the suggestion that houses should be built on this site. Here are some suggestions for further activities. My suggestion about menus was ignored.
She took a seat at his suggestion.
There was never any suggestion of criminal involvement.
The government have denied any suggestion of involvement in her death.
There's some suggestion that the intruder was the same person that killed Angie.
There was just a suggestion of a smile on her face.
The power of suggestion.
Suggestion engine.
Suggestion engine. Suggestive.
Suggestive.
Her symptoms are suggestive of a panic disorder. It was a huge sound, suggestive of whales calling each other. He kept giving me suggestive looks.
Suicidal.
Suicidal.
She was depressed and almost suicidal.
For many years before treatment, Claire had suicidal tendencies. It was suicidal trying to put out that fire. Her economic policies would prove suicidal for our economy.
Suicide bomber.
Suicide.
Suicide.
More people commit suicide at Christmas than at any other time.
My mother attempted suicide on many occasions.
He apparently left a suicide note on his desk.
He said a vote for Labour would be a vote for economic suicide. Suicide bomber.
Suicide bomber.
Suicide pact.
Suicide pact.
Suit.
Suit.
A grey lightweight suit.
A business suit.
A tweed suit. She was wearing a black trouser suit.
Johnson has filed suit against her.
A civil suit. I bought myself a mobile phone and joined the other suits on the train to the city. Sympathy is not Jack's strong suit.
Whatever your reason for borrowing, we have the loan that suits your needs.
There's a range of restaurants to suit all tastes.
There are countryside walks to suit everyone.
We have gifts to suit every pocket.
Either steak or chicken would suit me fine.
The climate there will suit you down to the ground.
She had the ability to suit her performances to the audience.
That coat really suits Paul. Red suits you.
Jill's new hairstyle doesn't really suit her.
The activity holidays on offer are really best suited to groups.
Land well suited for agriculture.
The candidate most ideally suited to doing the job.
Mind if I sit here? He said gently. Suit yourself.
Suitability.
Suitability.
There's no doubt about Christine's suitability for the job.
His suitability as a father.
Suitable.
Suitable.
We are hoping to find a suitable school.
The house is not really suitable for a large family.
A suitable place to rear young children.
These crayons are not suitable to use in very hot weather.
Suitably.
Suitably.
We were relieved that Gordon had arrived at the wedding suitably dressed. He owns 3 hotels. The others looked suitably impressed. Suitcase.
Suitcase.
Suite.
Suite.
A honeymoon suite.
A suite of rooms for palace guests.
A pink bathroom suite.
The Nutcracker Suite.
Suiting.
Suiting.
Suitor.
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 Sulfate.
Sulfate.
Sulfide.
Sulfide.
Sulfur.
Sulfur.
Sulfur dioxide.
Sulfur dioxide.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulphurous.
Sulphurous.
Sulky.
Sulk.
Sulk.
Mike could go into a sulk that would last for days.
She's having a sulk.
A fit of the sulks.
Sulky.
Sulky.
A sulky child.
He put on a sulky expression.
Catherine sat in a sulky silence.
Sullen.
Sullen.
Bill sat in sullen silence and refused to eat his lunch.
A look of sullen resentment.
Sully.
Sully.
A scandal that sullied his reputation.
Sulfate.
Sulfate.
Copper sulfate.
Sulfide.
Sulfide.
Sulfur.
Sulfur.
Sulfur dioxide.
Sulfur dioxide.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulphurous.
Sulphurous.
Sultan.
Sultan.
Sultana.
Sultana.
Sultanate.
Sultanate.
The Sultanate of Oman.
Sultry.
Sultry.
A hot and sultry day.
Since the rain, the air had become heavy and still and sultry. She threw Carlo a sultry glance.
A sultry film star.
Some.
He owes me a large sum of money.
The sum of £4,000.
Bill wants to spend a large sum on modernising the farm. We should be happy to buy it for a modest sum.
You will have to pay the sum of the 2 sets of costs.
The team is greater than the sum of its parts.
Do your sums first before you decide how much to spend.
In sum, soul music is important to the record industry.
Gerald will open the debate and I will sum up.
To sum up, for a healthy heart, you must take regular exercise and stop smoking.
In your final paragraph, sum up your argument.
The city's problem can be summed up in 3 words. Too many people. That image sums up the whole film. Pat summed up the situation at a glance.
So, you want us to help you change, but you don't believe change is possible. That about sums it up.
Some bitch.
Some bitch.
Summa cum laude.
Summa cum laude.
He graduated summa cum laude in 1968.
Summarily.
Summarily.
He was summarily dismissed.
Summarize.
Summarize.
The authors summarise their views in the introduction.
To summarise, in most cases the scores were achieving the standard set.
Summary.
Summary.
A brief summary is given on a separate sheet. The group produces a monthly summary of their research.
In summary, do not sell your shares. A summary execution.
Summit.
Summit.
Summation.
Summation.
Summer.
Summer.
The long hot summer of 1976.
The children play on the beach during the summer.
Miriam likes to relax in her garden in summer.
We're going to Italy next summer.
A hot summer's day. A sunny summer afternoon.
A 3-week summer vacation. The tourist season lasts through late summer.
Parts of Spain are extremely hot in high summer.
A child of 11 summers.
Summer camp.
Summer camp.
Summer house.
Summer house.
Summer holidays.
Summer holidays.
Summer pudding.
Summer pudding.
Summer school.
Summer school.
Summer solstice.
Summer solstice.
Summertime.
Summertime.
It doesn't rain much in the summertime.
Summer vacation.
Summer vacation.
Summary.
Summary.
A light summery dress.
A summery breeze.
Summing up.
Summing up.
In his summing up, the judge said that it was dangerous to convict on this evidence alone.
Summit.
Summit.
The European summit.
The 2 presidents agreed to hold a summit in the spring. A 5-nation summit meeting.
Many people have now reached the summit of Mount Everest.
His election as president represented the summit of his career.
Summon.
Summon.
Robert summoned the waiter for the bill.
The president summoned Taylor to Washington.
He was summoned to attend an emergency meeting.
Hugh was summoned to appear before the magistrate.
He had to summon the energy to finish the race. He summoned a meeting of business leaders.
The smell summoned up memories of family holidays by the sea. Ruth took a deep breath, summoned up her courage, and told him the truth.
Summons.
Summons.
The judge must issue a summons.
He had been accused of a drug offence, but police had been unable to serve a summons on him.
She has been summoned to appear in court.
Basil was summoned for wounding a police officer.
Sumo.
Sumo.
Sump.
Sump.
Sumptuous.
Sumptuous.
A sumptuous feast.
A sumptuous palace.
Sum total.
Sum total.
That's the sum total of my knowledge about it.
Sun.
Sun.
The sky was blue and the sun was shining.
Too much sun is bad for you.
We sat in the sun, eating ice cream.
The warmth of the afternoon sun.
You can buy jeans in every colour under the sun.
The beaches were full of families sunning themselves.
Sunbaked.
Sunbaked.
The sun-baked ground.
Sunbathe.
Sunbathe.
Her mother was sunbathing in the back garden.
Sunbeam.
Sunbeam.
Sunbed.
Sunbed.
The sunbelt.
Sunbelt.
Sunblock.
Sunblock.
Sunburn.
Sunburn.
Sunburned.
Sunburned.
Sun cream.
Sun cream.
Sunday.
Sunday.
A chocolate sundae.
Sunday.
Sunday.
We're going to a match on Sunday.
What are you doing Sunday?
Sunday nights are usually pretty quiet. It was our wedding anniversary last Sunday. There's another antiques market this Sunday. We'll announce the winners next Sunday. Finding a dentist on a Sunday can be very difficult.
Sunday school.
Sunday school.
Sundeck.
Sundeck.
Sunder.
Sunder.
Sundial.
Sundial.
Sundown.
Sundown.
Sundowner.
Sundowner.